Everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on this bracelet, and this bracelet is using some of the beads from Eureka Crystal Beads' latest collection called Twilight Castle Collection. So of course when I see Castle and Twilight, I'm going to definitely do something vintage looking or royal looking, and I think this fit the bill. I had so much fun making. This is not hard. This is actually quite an easy component, and you could make, I have the bracelet here, but you can turn this into a necklace. Just as it is, you can curve it and just, add some beads here. There are pearls in the collection, all kinds of goodies. You can make a beautiful necklace. You can make a ring. So that's what's so cool about this component. Or you can make earrings, and I think this make a beautiful earring. And I finished the back so that if you do an earring, you'll look beautiful coming and going. Okay, before we get started, I just wanted to let you know I'll be taking a short break. So I'm having surgery and I will need some time to recover. So it's nothing dramatic. I'm just taking care of myself. I'll probably be off, YouTube for maybe 4 weeks, maybe sooner. We'll see how it goes. I'll be back with lots of new projects, lots of inspiration once I'm healed and ready to create again. So I'll update you a little bit on Facebook, how things are going, but I hope you will continue to watch my videos, look at some older videos, some recent videos that you haven't made yet, and that will keep the channel going while I'm gone. All right, so should we start on this bracelet? Let's get the materials list going. So the collection is sold out. However, they list all the beads individually. So when you go to the collections page, click on the collection, even if it's sold out, and scroll down and you'll see all the beads there. So you can just order the beads and have everything you need. So you need those gorgeous 8x10 step cut rectangles. Aren't those pretty? I love those. I'm telling you, they're not easy to bezel. It took me a while. So we'll need those, and then you'll need some mini duos, some bar beads, some 11-0 seed beads. I've got a Delica mix here. So these are all from the collection, all these beads. And like I said, they're also listed individually. You'll also need some 3mm fire polish beads. I've got some jump rings here. Did I say 15-0s? I've got some 15-0s. Let's see, did I forget anything? I don't think so. I think that's everything. I used a size 11 beading needle, and I used a 4-pound fire line, which is really, really helpful to use because you can really get through those beads a lot. So you do have some small beads you'll be going through. Let me just check on the other side and make sure I got everything. I did. All right, so I'm going to list everything in the description box below the video. Sizes, shapes, colors, amounts of beads that you need. I'll put links to the beads individually for you. So I'm going to clear this off and we'll get started. So thread your needle with about, I'd say 4 feet of thread. Maybe a little bit less, but I like to have a little extra. Put on a stop bead, and I'd leave about a 12-inch tail because I want to show you how to bead the back in case you want to make earrings, in which case you'll look beautiful coming and going. So I've dropped down to my stop bead, an 11-0 and a mini duo, and I did that 8 times. Just like so. So you have 8 of each on there, on your thread. Okay, I'm going to sew them into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead, and then I'm just going to continue all the way around to reinforce. I've reinforced, and I came around past my stop bead by several beads. You just want to be exiting one of your mini duos. So I'm exiting here, the bottom hole of a mini. I'm just going to sew through the top hole of that mini, just like that. Next up, I'm going to pick up 2 of my bar beads, and I'm going to sew through. I'm exiting the top hole of this mini. I'm going to sew through the top hole of the next mini. So just like that. Then I'm going to pick up my 3mm fire polish, and I'm going to sew. I'm exiting the top hole of this mini. I'm going to sew through the next mini. So we're just going to do that all the way around, alternating the bar beads and the fire polish. So here, exiting here, picking up 2 of the bar beads, sewing through the next mini duo, and I'm kind of positioning them a little bit so they sort of make a V, just like that. Do our 3mm fire polish, So you're just going to continue that all the way around. Coming down to my last bead, it's going to be my fire polish. So I'm exiting the top hole of this mini. I'm going to sew through the top hole of this one, and I'm going to go right through the bar bead. I'm going to just come around a little bit through the next bar bead, the mini duo, and the fire polish. I'm headed over here. I'm going to sew through the next mini and bar bead. I just want to complete the circle. You know, I don't want to just end where, you know, we started. I want to just make sure it's nice and snug. So I'm just going to exit the bar bead right there. Honestly, it doesn't matter which one, as long as it's, you know, on the bar, you know, coming out of the bar bead here. So if you did this one, that would be fine too. All right, so this is what we have so far. Next up, we're going to pick up an 11-0, a Delica, and an 11-0. I'm exiting these two bar beads, so this right here, I'm just going to sew through the next two. So I'm just going to skip over everything and put those right there. Just like that. Let's do that again. 11-0, Delica, 11-0. Exiting here, just gonna hop over to these two right here. So we're working on making a little sort of cup for our stone. So just like that, you're gonna do that 2 more times. That's 11-0, Delica, 11-0, and you notice I pulled a little bit just to make sure there's not too much thread showing. So exiting here, I'm gonna sew through the last 2 bar beads. So this is what I have so far. So I'm exiting. I put on my last 11-0, Delica, 11-0, came through the bar beads. Exiting right here. I'm just going to advance my needle right through the 11-0, the first 11-0, Delica, 11-0. I put on just like that. So this is what it looks like. Pick up 4 15-0s. I'm exiting here. I'm going to sew through skip everything, sew through the next group, 11-0, Delica, 11-0. Like that. And then I'm going to pick up 5 15-0s. So this is going to be the top here. And then this is the longer side. So 5 15-0s now. Exiting here. Going to sew through the next 11-0, Delica, 11-0. To make sure that pops in front. And then we're going to do 4 15-0s. Exiting here, we're going to sew through and just make sure you give it a little pull to make sure everything is nice and snug. We'll snug it up again later too. Our 4 we're going to put right here, like that, and then the last one we're going to do 5. Exiting here, I'm going to sew through these 3. And that's going to start see how it's going to make it rectangular because we've got more beads on one side than the other. Just want to reinforce this all the way around. Reinforced all the way around. I'm exiting a group of the 5 15-0s. I'm going to pop my stone in, and you want to make sure it's nice and snug. So just like that. So this is how your stone is going to fit. Kind of straighten everybody out so we have a nice bezel going. All right, so this is what we have so far. Pick up 2 15-0s. I'm exiting a group of 5 here. I'm just going to skip over the 11-0, Delica, 11-0, and sew through the next group right here. So it has those 2 corners, almost like little prongs that you would see on a real stone. So exiting here, the 15-0s, I'm going to pick up 2 15-0s, and I'm going to sew through the next group of 15-0s. I'm going to do that 2 more times. The last 2 15-0s. Oops, let me just fill off my needle. So last 2 15-0s, exiting that group of 15-0s. I'm going to skip over the 11-0, Delica, 11-0. and sew through the next group. I'll add my last corner on, like so. Looks pretty good. If you like, you can reinforce this all the way around if you feel you need it. If you feel it's secure, then you can go ahead and just, we could just move on from there. I might go ahead and reinforce anyway. Okay, this is what we have so far. I did reinforce. I don't even think I needed to, but I did. And I'm exiting a group of 4 15-0s. So I just want to, be able to go through one of the corners here. So exiting here, I'm going to sew through the 11-0, Delica 11-0, just like that. Next up, I'm going to pick up a Delica. So I'm picking up a gold one here. And I'm exiting this 11-0, Delica 11-0. Oops. I'm going to sew through the 2 bar beads. So right there. We're going to do that again. I'm going to pick up a Delica. I'm exiting the bar bead right here. I'm going to sew through these 3. I'll let the 11-0 Delica 11-0. And I'm just going to repeat that all the way around. Okay, last Delica. Or last couple of Delicas. I'm exiting here. I'm going to sew through the 11-0, the 2 bar beads. Delica, exiting the bar bead. I'm going to sew through these 3 right here. Don't get caught. This is what we have so far. I'm going to advance my needle through the Delica and the 2 bar beads. Just like that. Exiting the bottom hole of the bar bead, I'm going to sew through the top hole. Just 1. Like that. I'm going to pick up a mini duo and I'm going to sew through the next bar bead. So we're going to pop that little mini duo in there. Like that. Then I'm going to just come around from the top hole of the bar bead through the bottom hole of the 2 bar beads, just like that. Now I'm going to move over to my next group. So I'm going to come through the Delica, the 11-0, Delica 11-0, through this gold Delica, through the 2 bar beads, through the top hole of this bar bead, and then picking up a mini. I'm going to sew through the other bar bead, and then back down through the bottom hole of the 2 bar beads. So just like that, this is what we have so far. Okay, in case you're making an earring or you just want to finish the back, you want to, take your stop bead off and thread your needle off the tail thread, and you want to be exiting one of the mini duos right here. So just like that, so you're going to connect from this mini duo to this one, and I'll show you how to do that. So I'm going to pick up 3 15-0s. I'm exiting this mini. I'm going to sew through the next mini, and you can go ahead right through that 11-0, but you want to push it down so that those 3 beads sit right in between the mini duos. So see that, how they're just kind of sitting right there? And then you're just going to advance to the next mini duo, like so. And you're going to do that again, 3 15-0s. Exiting here, going to sew through the next mini, and I just go ahead on through the 11-0 if it's easier. And then push it over, like so, and sew through the next mini. And if it pops up, just push it down again. So you're just going to do that 2 more times. So here, I'll just do one more time with you. Exiting the mini duo, going to sew through this mini duo. Oops. And on ahead, just through the 11-0 if you can. And I'm going to just place that with my thumb right there. I'm going to do that one more time. Okay, I have my last 3 15-ohs on right there. I'm going to advance my needle till I come out of the next mini duo, and I'm going to sew right up through. Now this is a little picky stuff, but it makes the back look good. Through the 2 15-ohs, so the one here and then the little point 15-oh right there. Push it down if it pops up, like so. And then I'm going to pick up a 15-oh. Exiting this point, I'm going to sew through the next point. Now, if an 11-oh works better there, you can use an 11-oh. It just all depends on your tension, how it's fitting. I find a 15-oh works just perfectly. There. One more, just going through all the points, like so. And see how that covers the back so that the back looks almost as pretty as the front. There we go. Okay, so our unit is complete. Here's the front, here's the back. Now you're going to make a second unit, and we're going to connect them as we go. So what you want to do with your second unit is when you're coming around and adding the mini, you want to make sure that the one space doesn't, you're leaving a space here without the mini, so we can connect the pieces like this. So you'll do that, as you go along. So when you do the next one, you'll leave a space so you can connect to this mini and so on. So I'm going to show you how to do the connection, and then you can go off and complete, the base of your bracelet. 2 pieces. And I've left my space here. I'm exiting the top hole of a bar bead. I'm just going to sew through the mini duo on the other unit, like that. And then through the bar bead, the other bar bead on this unit. So I'll move my hand in a second. So just like that. Here, I'll show you here's the thread path, just like that. So when I pull, see how that's going to place that mini duo in between here. And then, so I'm just going to hold it this way. Exiting this bar bead, I'm going to sew back through these 2 bar beads, like that. Through the top bar bead and the mini duo. So here we're exiting like so. Now I'm going to go down through the other side. We don't want any thread attaching up here. We just don't see any thread. So I'm going to sew through the other side of the mini duo and then up through the bar bead, if you can get them both. There we go. Like that. And then I'm going to sew through the 2 bar beads again. And so now you have a nice connection. You can come down through the other side of the bar bead and the mini duo and the bar bead, and you can reinforce this as much as you think it needs. And then you have your 2 pieces connected. And you're just going to do that until you have all your pieces done. And I just have some pieces already done here. Of course I have my mini duo sticking out there, but you'll have something like this when you're done. And what we'll do is we'll start doing this little 15-oh embellishment, and then we can put the clasp on and you have a bracelet. Let's do that little embellishment. So now that I have all my pieces together, so I've threaded my needle with, I don't know, maybe 3 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, leave a tail to sew in. Maybe you don't need that much, but I always like to have extra. So I'm just sewing, here's the end or the beginning of the bracelet. I'm just going to sew through one of the fire polish beads like that. I'm going to pick up 3 15-ohs. I'm going to go from the fire polish right through the bar bead, the mini duo, and then the next bar bead. like so. I'm going to pick up 3/15 again. I'm exiting the bar bead. Let me just turn it this way a little bit. Oops. Like so. And I'm just going to go from the bar bead to the 3mm fire polish. Very easy, 3/15 through the next bar bead. Mini duo bar bead. 3/15 through the next fire polish. 3/15 through the next bar bead. Whoops, 3/15 through the next bar bead. Mini duo bar bead. Just going to keep doing that, 3/15 through the fire polish. 3/15 through the next bar bead, mini bar bead. Just you want to do that until you just come all the way around. So one more time. 3 through the fire polish, from the bar bead to the fire polish, like that. And now you have the whole thing all embellished. And then you're just going to move your thread so you can come through these 3/15 the bar bead, the mini duo through the top of the mini duo, down through the other side of the mini, come out of the bar bead, add your 3, and you're just going to kind of weave your way around just to get those 3/15 in, in between the bar bead and the fire polish. So you'll just do that, and then if you need to, go around again because you've come out in a different place, that's fine. Just as long as you get those 3 little 15s in there. All right, so I'm just going to let you go off and finish your embellishment, and then we'll add the clasp. Okay, so I've threaded my needle with about 1.5 feet of thread, put on a stop bead, left a tail to sew in. I've sewn through the mini duo. I added an 11/0, a fire polish, and an 11/0. Came through the ring on the toggle bar, and then I added the same thing, 11/0, fire polish, 11/0, and I'm going to sew right through the other side of that mini. And that's going to kind of put it on like so, and now we'll come around and we'll tighten it all up so it's nice and snug. So I'm just going to, exiting the mini, I'm going to sew through the 11/0, the fire polish, the 2 11/0s, and the ring. And you want to make sure that ring is kind of going to hang out in between those 11/0s. And when we tighten it up, you'll see how that goes. So here I'm just going to give it a pull. So you see like that, how the ring is going to hang. It's going to be right in between these 2 11/0s, and then I'm just going to sew back through like that. And you can go ahead and reinforce this a couple of times. So come all the way around and exit the 11/0 right here. Okay, we're back and we're done, and I just think it came out so pretty. To me, it reminds me of like royal jewelry or vintage jewelry, and I love vintage jewelry. I would love this as an earring. I'd love this actually over the sleeve of a, sweater. I think against the black, it looks so pretty. I think you could make a necklace so easily out of this. If I only had 6 of them, otherwise I might have tried it, but you can connect this so easily right here and put a chain on it. You can have a necklace. You can do the earrings. You can do a ring. What about a ring? You can play with a ring. So I think it's a really very versatile component. You can do all kinds of things with it. All right, so I want to thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.